The information in this video is very important. We will go over the protocols and procedures of how to complete a rare plant monitoring assignment, from initial signups to the survey day to submitting your completed rare plant reporting forms. There will be a quiz following this video, so it is important that you fully understand this material. Please feel free to contact the botanical coordinator with any questions you might have. As mentioned in a previous video, we work closely with each state's natural heritage program to receive data on rare plant occurrences and share the results gathered from the fieldwork conducted by our volunteers. We could not run our program without the help and support of natural heritage programs, so we want to respect their data and support what they do. In January, Conservation Department staff and NEPCOP task force members meet to look at what was accomplished in the previous year and then make decisions on what actions should be taken in the upcoming year. The conservation staff then works with the natural heritage programs to set priorities for the species and populations we want to monitor, manage, and collect seed from. Once we have narrowed down a list of rare species occurrences to monitor, we send those lists to both our task force members and PCVs to sign up for and take on surveys and seed collections for the upcoming field season. Some populations require state or federal permits for surveyors to access the property, while others require the permission of a private landowner or both. Beginning in February, Native Plant Trust staff begin the process of submitting permit applications, which can take weeks or months to be approved. Some permits may not be approved, and these populations will be moved to the survey plan for the subsequent year. After securing landowner permission and sending out survey assignments to both task force members and PCVs, completed rare plant reporting forms and supplemental materials are then submitted to Native Plant Trust, so we can then use the data to determine the next conservation actions we want to take for the populations. This data is so important to us to keep our program running and make sound conservation decisions. We also provide the rare plant data, maps, photos, and other survey materials back to Natural Heritage so they can update their records. Natural Heritage then uses the data we provide to track rare plant occurrences for their state. We provide a great service to every New England Natural Heritage program because we are able to utilize trained volunteers to complete a lot of work that their staff does not have the capacity to complete. NEPCOP primarily focuses on regionally rare species. However, we help out Natural Heritage by also monitoring state rare species that may not be a priority for our program, but that are priorities at the state level for each Natural Heritage program. Here is the figure again to demonstrate that our program runs in a cyclic fashion and how the work our volunteers do each year affects the decisions we make for upcoming seasons. Let's do a quick review of this cycle. In March, we have PCVs sign up for surveys they are interested in and willing to attempt. At the training sessions in March, we will go over how exactly to determine which surveys to sign up for. The specific coordinates and documentation for each population is not given to volunteers just yet, because next, Native Plant Trust staff work from April through October to secure permits and permissions from landowners to allow PCVs to enter their property to complete their surveys. Once permission is secured, we email volunteers a notification that their survey has received permission and their assignment materials are now available to them on the Sprout website. Volunteers are expected to coordinate with other surveyors on the assignment and follow any instructions on coordination with the landowners to determine a date and time to conduct their survey. Once a survey is completed, we ask volunteers to submit their rare plant reporting forms and supplemental survey materials to us. Rare plant reporting forms, maps, and photos should be submitted as soon as possible to ensure accuracy of data. Wait too long and you might forget what you did. At the very latest, we ask volunteers to submit rare plant reporting forms by early November. Native Plant Trust staff then work through the winter to process all of the data to then determine the populations to prioritize for upcoming field seasons. We will go over details of each step in a little more depth. Step 1. Sign up for surveys. Each year we set a due date for survey signups in early April. Keep an eye out for email reminders of this date. We need to set a due date because we need to get going on permits and landowner permissions by mid-April, or else we may miss out on monitoring early blooming species.
Surveyors will sign up for surveys they are interested in using the Sprout website, nativeplanttrust-sprout.org. Signups will be available in Sprout on the survey signup page. Please do not email signups to conservation staff. The survey signup page is designed for volunteers to sign up on their own and in real time. At the training sessions in March, we will review the sign-up list to help clarify this process.
Survey signups are first come, first serve, and we limit the number of volunteers that can participate in each survey to 4 surveyors to reduce the impacts to the survey sites. Also, it is important to remember that even if you sign up for a survey, that does not mean we will necessarily be able to secure permission for that survey. Some landowners refuse to give us access to their property or never respond at all. After our initial round of signups are closed in early April, we do have a second round of orphaned surveys for volunteers to sign up for in mid-May. Step 2. Review and download assignment materials. We utilize our secure Sprout website for volunteers to receive assignment data, submit rare plant field forms, and also locate resources and links for botanical and programmatic information. Once you have completed the PCV training, you will receive an email prompting you to access your new account on the Sprout website. Once conservation staff and interns have secured landowner permission, we will notify you via email that permission has been secured and the assignment materials are available on the Sprout website. If your assignment includes other volunteers, they will be CC'd on that email as well. In the survey information section on the Sprout website, you will find an assignment summary providing details and instructions for the survey. Links to previous rare plant reporting forms, maps, and element occurrence records, or EORs, which are generated by the states, will be available on the survey assignment field data page. PDF versions of the New England Rare Plant Reporting Form are available on the Sprout website on the PCV/TF information page to print out and take with you to record data during your survey. In the Sprout assignment field data page, you will find links to PDFs, Word documents, and JPEG files for your assignment. To help you better understand which file is which, we follow a very specific file naming convention. Files are named in the following way: state_genus species code, the first 3 letters of the genus followed by the first 3 letters of the species, _ the specific population's EO number, _ the specific item, past field form, map, photo, and so on, and then the year the file was created. It is critical that you follow the same naming convention when submitting your own files to help future surveyors. The example we use for this video is a made-up species, fake plastic aster, Pseudoaster plastictroides. I hope you get the botany pun. It is important to note that not all assignments will have a comprehensive set of past survey forms, because not all of the occurrences have complete data. This is one of the reasons why it is so important that our volunteers fill out rare plant reporting forms and submit their data, photographs, and maps through Sprout, so we can have better information on the species, and also so the next volunteer surveyors have more complete information to work from to complete their own surveys. Once you have access to your survey materials, you will have a little bit of homework to do. Each volunteer on an assignment should take time before their field visit to review the forms and materials included in the survey assignment pages. It is important to research your target plant species ahead of time so you know how to identify it and spot it in the field. You need to know your target species' diagnostic features so you can take photos of these features, as natural heritage programs will use these photos to confirm species ID. If the species identity is not clear, your data may not be accepted. Also, make sure you know when will be the best time to conduct your survey. Do your best to determine when the species is in bloom, and if asked to collect seed, when it is most likely in seed. Previous field forms included in the assignment materials may have dates of when the past surveys were conducted and the phenology of the plants on those specific dates, which can be very useful for identifying the best time to conduct your survey. We recommend using past field forms in GoBotany, but there are also lots of other resources to learn about your assignment species as well. Take time to read through past field forms and study maps to get a good idea of the last seen location of the plants. Also take time to figure out where you should park, how you will access the site, how you will search for the plants, and an estimation of how long the entire survey might take you. Again, information on previous field forms will provide clues as to how previous surveyors found the plants and how long it took them, but make sure you plan for how long it will take you. Make sure that if you are with a group of other volunteers on a survey assignment, you take the time to contact and discuss a date, time, and location to meet. Sometimes a volunteer may have to back out of a survey assignment because what works best for the majority of the group and the plant species may not work for their schedule. This is totally fine. Know that you need to go when the plants are at their best for surveying, and these dates are flexible for some species and not so much for others. It is also a good idea to determine ahead of time who in your group, again if surveying with a group, will be submitting the rare plant reporting forms. Remember, we only want one field form submitted per site per visit, as long as there's a week or so between the visits. So once you have determined who will submit their data, make sure they get any notes or data from the other members of the group. You will hear in this video and see on your rare plant reporting form some terms and acronyms that you may not be familiar with. Here are some definitions to help you better grasp the lingo of rare plant monitoring. An EO is an element occurrence, a single population of a rare plant. We tend to define rare plant populations on the landscape as an occurrence because the term population has multiple definitions depending on the context in plant biology, ecology, restoration, etc. However, occurrence and population can sometimes be used interchangeably. An EOR is an element occurrence record. This is documentation on the population, generally in the form of a computer printout created by the State Natural Heritage Program database. Some survey assignments will have an EOR available for you to review, and some may not. An EO number is a 3 or 4 digit number assigned by the Natural Heritage Program and Native Plant Trust, which is unique to one EO. This is used as an identifier number for each occurrence of a species, and there could be up to 25 different EO numbers for the occurrences for one species. Or there could be hundreds of EO numbers depending on the species. Oftentimes, when you have a question on an assignment, it is very helpful for you to tell us the species, state, and EO number so we can look the record up quickly. On your New England Rare Plant Reporting Forms, you will see two different ways of reporting the number of plants you find at an occurrence. The first one asks how many ramets are present. A ramet is a vegetatively produced unit of a genetic individual, for example, a stem. Oftentimes, your first count of plants will be of ramets, how many stems you see of that species at a site. Both of the drawings below show 3 ramets, or 3 above-ground stems, all connected back to distinct genetic individuals. You will also see the term genet, which is a unit of a population arising from seed, not vegetatively produced from another individual, genetically distinct from other plants in a population. This means the whole plant, the entire genetic individual. Some species send out underground runner stems that produce multiple ramets, but are really one genetic individual. It is helpful to get a sense of your species biology. Does it produce underground stems, grow in a clump, annual, or perennial? Before going out on your survey to get a better idea of how to count the plants you find. We understand that it can be hard to determine the number of ramets and genets when you cannot see what's happening underground. Make sure to research your species and give us your best estimate when in the field. Here is another simple drawing of ramets and genets. Can you tell how many ramets there are and how many genets there are? On the slide is an example of the survey assignment summary page. It is important to note that this page will only show populations that we have received permission for and are ready to survey. In the row for a specific population, you will find the species' scientific and common names, the EO number, and locational information such as the town and site name. On the right side of the screen, you can see 2 columns labeled Survey and Collect Seed. These are the proposed actions for your survey. Either survey or survey and collect seed. If you scroll over, you will find more information including the survey comments, notes about the population from Native Plant Trust and Natural Heritage, the list of surveyors, and a download button where you can download and print all of the assignment summary information.
If you click Select for a specific population on the assignment summary, you will be taken to a page for that population which contains a lot of useful information. It is crucial that you carefully review and understand all of the information present in these tabs. The first tab is the Owner Notes and History section. Owner notes include general notes about the ownership of the population. Also on this tab is the History section, which describes the past survey information for the population, including whether the plants were found, how many, and when seed samples have been collected. The second tab is the Owner Information for Survey tab. This section includes notes on the landowner or property managers pertinent for your survey, including whether you need to contact them ahead of your survey. There is also information on how to contact the landowners and whether you need to print and bring a permit with you on your survey. Any permits will be hyperlinked on this page. If you scroll all the way to the right, you will find a column labeled Owner Permission. This section will tell you whether the owner has given us permission or not. This is important because sometimes we will receive permission from some landowners, but not all of them. In this case, the owner permission for that owner will say, "No, stay off." It is crucial that you know which properties you have access to and which you do not. On Phenology and Info for Survey and Phenology Notes and Conservation Status tabs, you will find the phenology data we have on that species, including the flowering, fruiting, and recognizable vegetation date ranges. This can help give you a rough estimate on when to conduct your survey if previous field forms do not. The Species Phenology Notes and Conservation Status also has notes on species phenology and the listing status of the species. The Lookalike Species tab includes other species that look very similar to your target species and how to tell them apart. It is important that you understand the differences and how to confirm the identity of your target species in the field. The last two tabs contain Nearby Species and Research Questions. Nearby Species notes other listed species with the same site name or that occur within half a mile of your population's location. If there are species nearby your target, please familiarize yourself with them and fill out a report for them if you see them while conducting your survey. The Research Questions section lists questions we are interested in answering for that specific species. If your survey has a research question, please try to collect data that might help us answer that question. Please take time to carefully review and understand all of the data in the different assignment summary tabs before going out into the field. At the training sessions in March, we will show you an example of an EOR, Element Occurrence Record. Some of them are very easy to read, others not so much, particularly if they are older scans of computer printouts from the 1980s. Important information to note on the EOR is the EO number and the scientific and common names of the species at the top of the document. Sometimes species names and EO numbers change because of changes in the taxonomic classification of the species or because records of EOs are merged due to proximity. We do our best to send you the correct EOR, and if something looks confusing, please feel free to contact the botanical coordinator with any questions. Other important information to look for on an EOR are directions to the occurrence. Sometimes written directions are extremely helpful, sometimes they are not. This is a good reminder to always write descriptive directions to make refinding a population easy for future surveyors. Continuing down the EOR, you should also look for when the species was last observed and first observed. Sometimes the last observed on an EOR is older than what we have in our assignment summary, since we have continued monitoring the population after the EOR was created. Finally, it can be helpful to look for the ecotype and general description. This information can tell you what kind of ecosystem the plants were located in and associated species that can help guide you to refinding the plants. Here's an example of a past field form. This is another document that you should review carefully. You will notice that the top of past field forms hold a lot of important information, including the species scientific and common names, EO number, site name, town, survey date, and past surveyors. Different states use different field forms, which will be organized slightly differently, but should contain similar, if not the same, type of data. One pet peeve of mine is when people write "see previous field form" for directions. We may not have that specific field form available, so please take the extra 2 minutes to fill out the directions on your rare plant reporting forms. You may find that some field forms are particularly sparse, so please try not to repeat this problem for future surveyors. Please fill out each New England rare plant reporting form as completely as possible.
The other important information listed in past field forms is the count data. How many ramets or genets did they find on that survey? What phenology was present? Were the plants in flower, fruit, or vegetative only? How was the vigor of the population, poor or excellent? This is important information to note before you go out on your survey, and useful information to draw a comparison in your own observations and rare plant reporting forms. Other important information on field forms to note are GPS coordinates, ecological data such as slope, aspect, light, moisture, etc., and associated species, which can give you clues on where to search at a site for rare plants. It is important for you as a surveyor to fill out rare plant monitoring forms as completely and detailed as you can, because the next time we send volunteers out to survey that particular EO, they will appreciate the detail to help them with their survey.